We've had a lot of news in the GLP-1 space, so to speak, this week, involving names such as Amgen, Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk. Our next guest remains bullish on Amgen, despite the stock falling yesterday. This was in reaction to mid-stage trial results for its experimental obesity drug. Salveen Richter is Goldman Sachs' lead biotech analyst. She joins us right here at Post 9. She has a buy rating on the stock of Amgen, price target $375. Nice to have you here. You wrote in a report out yesterday, you continue to see a highly differentiated asset, that being this drug, and remain confident in the outlook for it. Why do you differ from at least what was certainly not a decidedly positive reaction from the market?
Sure. I think what happened yesterday was that they really couldn't understand the differentiation versus Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk drugs. But also, they want more details as it relates to the tolerability profile of the drug. The reason we think it's differentiated is, one, you've got efficacy that looks in line with Eli Lilly at about a 20% weight loss out to 1 year, but it looks to be deepening over time. So it looks like you can have more weight loss past 52 weeks. In addition, it's a once a month or less frequent injection, and that differs from the once weekly injection. I think that the key point of debate was around the tolerability profile, the nausea and the vomiting. It seems on vomiting, for instance, they'll be able to go from 40% to 20% of patients, getting closer to where Lilly is with their patients on changes they're going to make to trial design in the phase 3. So, it wasn't just an obesity story. It also looks to be a diabetes story where they showed some differentiation on that side as well, potentially a best-in-class profile.
So you're fairly confident, at least in tolerability, that they will start to show numbers that are roughly in line with the existing therapies?
It might be slightly higher, but it's a first dose effect, and it doesn't seem to be as high when you take the second dose and beyond. So,
who's in the pole position when it comes to building capacity and delivering supply? Does anyone have an advantage on that?
So Lilly and Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are clearly, the duopoly right now, and they have the supply. Amgen has the ability to manage supply, just given their infrastructure.
What's the history? I can think of, for example, cholesterol medicines. And, we started with Lipitor, and of course there are so many. But what does that history show us in terms of new entrants into a market that already has existing therapies and where the differentiation and impact would not seem to be too great?
I think with diabetes was a case where there's still a duopoly to a degree that's played out there. But we've seen, cardiovascular disease, for instance, where you've had multiple entrants. I think here, where we think the anti-obesity market will move to is one where people will have a selection for what they want. Not everyone needs to lose more than 20% of their weight. Not everyone wants an injection. They might want an oral. They may want a less frequent injection. There may be a subpopulation of patients that have cardiovascular disease and opt for a drug that looks better in that population. So I think it's going to be broken up in subpopulations based on patient preference.
What about this proposal from the White House that we got yesterday for Medicare and Medicaid to cover anti-obesity drugs like this for obesity and not just diabetes? Do you think there's any reason to expect that to follow through and happen under a Trump administration?
I think we'll have to see what plays out there under the new administration, but clearly there are links from obesity to many other diseases, including cardiovascular disease and a link to mortality. So I think that's probably, the thought process here.
And finally, when do we get to, oral medications of this type? And who do you think will be first? I would assume that will conceivably be a market share positive for whomever it is.
Yeah, I think we're watching Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly to be first here on the oral side, and then we'll start to see other entrants come in over time.
All right, but generally speaking with Amgen, you expect that stock's going to recover the losses from yesterday and respond positively?
It came back to kind of our base business valuation of $285, and so from at this point now it's about numbers for 25, additional details that will be provided as well as catalysts as we look to the next year.
All right, thanks for joining us, Salveen.
Thank you.